come the whole time?
Ready? Okay. Start here? Yeah. Darn good turn. Please take your seats this evening. We'll begin momentarily. Yep, we're good. Okay. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so very much for being here this evening. My name is Patrick Bryant. I am with the Board of Directors of the Chamber of Commerce here in the Hickory Nut Gorge, and we are pleased to have such a wonderful turnout this evening and a great interest in our community as we come into this upcoming election. I'd like to first give a personal thank you to all of our candidates this evening for your commitment to our community, to your neighbors, and to your friends, and to ensure the ongoing prosperity of Lake Lure, and for all that you're going to do this evening. Before we begin, please bow your heads for a short word of prayer. Father, we thank you for this wonderful evening and for this beautiful community in which you've given us to live and enjoy your natural beauty in such a pristine setting. We ask your blessings tonight on this assembly and watch over each of us, guide our candidates as they answer some questions that are on the minds of our community and that have been guided through our chamber. We ask for your many blessings over everyone in this room, and as we go out this evening, may we be an example in your light, in your eyes. With all your blessing, we ask. Amen.
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 At this time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right. Okay. Tonight's proceeding will be from this time starting now until approximately 8:30 to 9 p.m., just depending on the length of time for candidate speaking. At this time, just a little housekeeping and a few notes for the audience. We do ask you please silence or mute your cell phones during this time. We are recording the event this evening, both on camera and microphone, so to ensure clear audio for playback later, we ask you to keep your phone silenced. If there is a call that comes up, please do make sure to take those outside. Thank you, April. Mild applause is acceptable this evening as the candidates speak. We do ask that no other sounds, yahoos, boo-ha's, brouhahas be going on. So light applause certainly acceptable, but there will be a time for the community to ask some questions. There is a hat just to your left here if you'd like to place your name in the hat during the audience participation portion of the evening. Please feel free to do so. In order to be impartial, the sequence of responses for the structured questions will be held by a random drawing. In a moment, we'll ask the candidates to draw their numbers from a hat, numbers 1 through 4, and we will begin the sequence questions with those numbers. Whoever is taking card number 1 will then, in the second question, move to the next person. So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, then we will go 4, 1, 2, 3. And it will rotate along. We will announce the names for the person who is up first. Because Kevin is running unopposed for a position of mayor, he will respond last in all cases if he chooses to do so for any questions. So each of the council who are looking to vote will have first response. So can't just say, I agree with Kevin. So we want to make sure he goes last for any responses he would like to do. Other rules that may pertain will be highlighted as we go through the 4 sections of tonight's meeting. Outline in order. Tonight we will begin with candidates' open remarks. Those will be given 2 minutes each to speak. Then we will go into our structured questions section. I will introduce our moderator in just a moment. We'll draw the questions at random. The questions have been presented to the candidates in advance of tonight's meeting, so they have reviewed all of those. There are 8 to 9 questions, but there are 4 that we will be covering this evening that will be drawn randomly during the event. and then we will begin from there. Beyond the structured question portion, we will move to open mic with the audience. Those will be 2 minutes each until approximately 8:45, 8:50. And then at the very end, we'll have closing remarks, and each of your candidates will have 1 minute each to provide final remarks this evening. If there are questions regarding rules during the evening, please feel free to ask, and I can review those for you. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator for tonight. He is a local celebrity in Rutherford County of sorts. Jim Bishop is here. He is known as the voice of the Carolina Foothills. He manages radio station WCAB 590 out of Rutherfordton. Over the years, Jim has been very active in the Tri-City area of Rutherford County. He's also an outsider, so he's impartial, and he's a fantastic choice for moderating the event tonight. He has notably served with NC Governor Jim Martin for 6 years in the early 90s, so he is familiar with the governing process and events such as these. So please give Jim Bishop this time a warm Lake Lure welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to be in this capacity, and I want to commend all the candidates for stepping up to the plate and making yourself willing to serve in this capacity. You've been informed already that you will be given 2 minutes to introduce yourself, give some background information, and while you're running, the timekeeper will ding once at 1.5 minutes and ding twice when the 2 minutes are up. And beyond that, we throw you out of here. No, I'm just kidding. Draw numbers for sequence of presentations now.
Excuse me, may I make a request that each and every one of you speak directly into your microphone when the air conditioning comes on, and some of us are older and have to have
Okay. Is this, how is this? Is this better? Is this better at all?
Yvonne, is that a little clearer when Jim speaks?
How about this?
Okay. Thank you, Yvonne.
The lady first. That's right.
Okay. Aces is one.
So let's begin.
Okay. Esther will be.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for the Chamber for putting this on, and thank you all for coming this evening. I'm Esther Lusk. Remind me if I don't speak in here. I grew up in Salisbury, North Carolina, and my family bought property on Sunset Cove, where I now live with my husband, Dave. I grew up spending summers on the lake, and I've been a full-time resident for about 4 years now. A little over 2 years ago, I volunteered to be the newsletter editor for the Lake Lure Lakefront Owners Association. That took me to Lake Advisory Board meetings, which then took me to town council meetings, which brought up questions, took me to zoning and planning meetings and asset management board meetings, and suddenly I discovered I cared. And it's that caring that brings me here tonight as a candidate for commissioner. I graduated from Davidson College, and I worked for AT&T as a paralegal during the early 80s, during the antitrust cases of the early 80s. Later, I was a stay-at-home mom, and as a stay-at-home mom, I was consistently dedicated time, energy, and focus to the betterment of my community through quite a variety of different organizations, including my church, where I was honored to serve as an ordained elder, youth fellowship advisor, and eventually as the vice moderator of the pastoral nominating committee. I also served on the volunteer first aid squad for 12 years and 2 years as captain. Since moving to Lake Lure, I've been very involved in various aspects through the Lake Lure Community Education Foundation and hand in glove with the school. Through that, I founded and administer the Momentum Scholarship for seniors graduating from the academy. And I also partnered with April Young, a former local librarian, who's now head of the library system of Rutherford County, to found Rutherford County Reads, which is a county-wide literacy council. I feel that I want to broaden my commitment to community service, and I think that being a town commissioner is the best way for me to serve Lake Lure.
Thank you, Gentlewoman Esper. Okay.
Thanks, everyone, for being here tonight. Having the opportunity to be considered as a member of the Town of Lake Lure Council is a great privilege for me. A lot of you already know me very well, and I feel you'll concur that what you see is what you get. I speak my mind and trust my heart in making decisions each and every day. The information I'm about to give will help you know some facts better to get to know me and my past history as a citizen of Rutherford County for the past 26 years and a full-time resident of Lake Lure for the past 24 years. I'm a North Carolina native and lived all my life in this great state. I grew up in Weaverville, North Carolina, just 9 miles north of Asheville. I've been married to my high school sweetheart, Kathy, for almost 49 years. Yes, I do agree she deserves many medals. She is my rock, always has been, always will be. Those of you that know her know what I mean. We have 2 sons that are married to our incredible daughters-in-law and 3 of the most special grandchildren you can imagine. Starting in 1969 and for the next 18 years, I worked with a local manufacturing company in Arden, North Carolina, working in the information technology department. Learned about computers and the use of them in the manufacturing world. When I left this company, I managed a department that consisted of as many as 28 employees. In 1986, I became one of the managers of a local retail furniture business in Asheville. I managed the business operations of this multi-million-dollar furniture company for 2 years. In 1988, I began my career with North Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company as an agent in Buncombe County. In 1990, I was asked to become the agency manager in Avery County. We moved there. In 91, I was asked to become the manager of the NC Farm Bureau office in Rutherford County. On July the 1st, I completed my 26 years as manager of this office in Rutherford County. I recently made the decision to step down as the manager of the Rutherford County Farm Bureau Insurance Office effective October the 1st. I will remain in the office as an agent until I decide to fully retire. I feel like I already have retired. There are things that I want to do, and the reduced responsibilities not being the manager will afford me the time to do those things. Being a council member is one of the goals I have, and this change will afford me the time to this commitment. Since moving to Rutherford County in '91, I've been involved in many different organizations and volunteer opportunities. I've served as a member of the Rutherford County Heart Association. I was privileged to serve 6 years as a member of the Rutherford County Hospice Association, 3 of those as the chairman of this board of this great organization. Although not currently active, I've been a member of the Fairfield Mountain Chapel for 24 years, sang in the choir for those active years, and was an elder on the board. Unfortunately, we sometimes let the unimportant things in life get in the way of the important ones. I'm a past member of the board of directors for the Fairfield Fire Department. For a number of years, Kathy and I served as co-chair of the Lake Lure Christmas Boat Parade. I've served the town of Lake Lure in many capacities over the past 24 years and served a number of committees over the past years. I'm currently on the I have served the Lake Advisory Board, Board of Adjustment, and Lake Structure Appeals Board. I'm currently privileged to be the chairman of both the Board of Adjustments and the Lake Appeals Board. I was a member of the Strategic Planning Committee and Long Range Planning Committee. As a result of my exposure to all the aspects of the activities of Rutherford County, I consider myself a very well-qualified representative for our town and a representative for each of you as taxpaying citizens of the county. I sometimes feel that we're the forgotten and most important area of the county. We need a strong voice to make sure leaders of the county understand the importance of and the level of impact Lake Lure has on the tax base and the overall economic impact of the county.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kilby. John.
I want to thank Patrick and Wynn and the Chamber for sponsoring this forum, and I want to thank everyone who's here. Being here tonight shows that you value this beautiful and vibrant community we're so blessed to call home. Thank you for investing your time and making sure that we're selecting the most qualified leadership for our town council. I especially want to thank everyone who volunteers for a board or a committee, or who volunteers in your church, service organization, community event, or fire department. Apart from nature's beauty, our volunteers, more than anything else, are what define our community. Paula Kiefer and I love Lake Lure and want to see this gem of the Carolinas continue to thrive. I've been on town council for almost 8 years and am honored to have been selected by my fellow commissioners to serve as mayor pro tem for the last 6 of those 8 years. I've done my best to listen to all sides of every issue and have always made the best decision I could based on the facts at hand. If I have made mistakes, I can promise you that they were mistakes of the mind and not of the heart. We have some very unique challenges facing us in the coming year, from our dredging needs to our sewer system and the report we just received this week on much-needed dam repairs. Balancing the next budget will take a sharp pencil. I've never voted for a tax increase, and although these repairs will be expensive, you have my word that I will do all I can to minimize the financial impact to our citizens and doing whatever is necessary to maintain the long-term integrity of our infrastructure. Thank you again for coming tonight. If you have questions for me that are not addressed during this forum, I'm happy to meet with anyone, anytime. My phone number's out there, or just see me after the meeting and we'll have coffee together and you can buy it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Okay, Mr. Owensby, please.
Yes, my name is Melvin Owensby. I live at 1808 Memorial Highway, and I'm running for town council. I'm 57 years old. I'm a lifelong resident of this area. I have great love and concern for Lake Lure and would like the opportunity to serve the town and contribute to the preservation of our lake, growth of our community, and represent our citizens with an open door policy for their concerns. I am married to Judy Owensby, which is here tonight. I've been married for 36 years. Hope I have her for another 36 years. We are members of the Chimney Rock Baptist Church, where we actively serve. I graduated from Polk Central High in 1978. I attended Isothermal Community College for real estate. I went to Haywood Community College for forestry, and I also completed a course with Cumbie Real Estate Institute. My employment over the years have been with Champion International Paper as a heavy equipment operator. I had a self-employed logging operation. I've been a timber buyer for Couch Brothers Chip Mill. I have a current real estate active broker license with Lake Lure Timber and Realty, which is owned by my wife, and I'm an organic farmer. My community services, I've been a youth basketball coach for Edneyville Elementary. I serve on the cemetery committee at Chimney Rock Baptist Church. I've had an award from Edneyville Elementary for performance with youth basketball. I also got an award for an outstanding performance for equipment operations. My public service is I've been chairman of the Lake Lure Golf Course Committee, and I currently serve on the Lake Lure Board of Adjustments and Lake Structures Appeals Board. And I would love the opportunity to sit up here and serve you as your city council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to each of our candidates. If we could have a round of applause for them, please. And now in the most contentious race of this season, Kevin Cooley will share a few words with us.
Thanks. I think I'll answer that question. My name is Kevin Cooley. I'm a candidate for mayor of Lake Lure. I grew up in northern New Jersey and spent the majority of my adulthood raising a family and furthering my career in Florida for almost 40 years. I met and married my wife, Yvonne, who is responsible for helping to bring me here to Lake Lure. We bought property here in 2000 and planned on retiring and moving here, and eventually we did that. 6 years ago, I became a full-time resident of the town of Lake Lure, and I'm here and I've fallen in love with the town. Most of you know I've been involved in a lot of civic and charitable volunteer positions. I agree, volunteerism is a very unique part of this community, and I've tried to make this my hometown by doing that. And so in my retirement, I've had a lot of time to spend in those kinds of activities. I've been the president of the Chamber of Commerce for the past 3 years. I serve on the Hickory Nut Gorge Foundation Board. I've been very involved with the outreach. Yvonne and I are the co-coordinators of the Lake Lure Arts and Crafts Festivals that occur twice a year. I've been the co-chairman of the Dirty Dancing Festival here. I've been co-chairman of the Luau event, and I've tried to integrate myself into the community, and that's my way of making Lake Lure my hometown. When I started considering entering government here, I realized there was a great need for infrastructure renewal and restoration. I happen to be a graduate civil engineer. I was a licensed professional engineer. I spent my career working on infrastructure projects, mostly in the public sector. I then became my own management and leadership consultant. I think those are important skills to being a mayor, and hopefully I can bring them to the table here if I'm elected. So I thank you all very much for coming, and I look forward to someday being your mayor.
Thank you, candidates, for those introductions. The next section will be specific questions submitted by Chamber Board members. You've been given these questions in advance to allow you some preparation. You'll each answer the same questions and be given 2 minutes. The timekeeper will ding once at 1.5 minutes and twice at 2 minutes. You don't necessarily have to take all 2 minutes. There will be 4 questions picked at random. You will answer in rotation as you're seated. Each of you will have a chance to go first. Who would like to go first? Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, one of these.
Yes, sir.
May I have the envelope, please?
Okay, in this rotation of questions, Mrs. Lusk, you will go first.
Oh.
And Lusk, followed by John Kilby, John Moore, and Melvin Owensby.
Right. Question is, understanding that economic development helps to mitigate the need for tax increases, what ideas do you have to stimulate economic development in our community?
Thank you, Jim. As you may or may not know, I don't come here with a business background, but I do have an understanding of economic development. And it's a multifaceted concept. And it's not just business. It includes education and literacy and workforce development. I've already, established my interest in literacy. But more to the point, with the work that I did with the Lake Lure Community Education, which brought me in contact with the Marketing and Communications Ad Hoc Committee for the school, we did a partnership with ICC and brought in an after-school program in hospitality and tourism. These are the kinds of programs that we need if we're going to bring in more business. We need to have a viable workforce, or our businesses won't be able to thrive. I know there's already a problem with staffing and good staffing that's well-trained. So I would be interested in focusing on more opportunities to have training that was available not only for the students after school, but for any adults locally. So that's my main contribution to economic development, would be workforce development.
Thank you. Next question. By running, I'm sorry.
No,
For question 1, all 4 candidates will have 2
Oh,
minutes.
I'm sorry.
Jumping the gun, okay.
Jumping the gun.
we could get finished a lot faster that way.
Okay.
Same question, I'm correct.
Yes, Mr. Kilby, yes, sir.
All right. As a result of being a part of this business community for my entire 26 years living in this community, I certainly understand the importance of economic development in our community. I do think that our current organization is involved with nurturing our economic growth, the strongest that they've ever been in my time living here. Working together with all of those involved will be a goal of mine as one of your commissioners. Listening to ideas and suggestions is very important. I've always felt that the wealth of knowledge and experience that we have in our community as a result of the large retirement segment of our citizens is a great asset. If you ever attend some of our town committee meetings and listen to the knowledge and experience of the members that are present, you'll know what I'm talking about. I've always felt in this community, being a retirement community, we have lots of professional people that come here to retire, and they bring with them incredible ideas along the way. Sometimes everybody wants to be the chief and nobody wants to be the Indian, but that's okay too. It always seems to work itself out. The growth of our economic commercial tax base can be a great asset for the community and town, and that will result in additional tax dollars available to fund our town needs and obligations.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Moore, same question.
Anyone who's been in a budget meeting with me will tell you that no one has a greater aversion to waste or tax increases than I do, and no one works harder to find opportunities to save money than me. The most effective thing we can do as a local government to stimulate economic development is to find the right regulatory balance between encouraging sustainable growth in harmony with the community and discouraging mismanaged growth that can be a detriment to the community. Our Zoning and Planning Board and Community Development Department are right now continuing the process of reviewing ordinances that can affect that growth. We also need to work toward developing a unified development ordinance that will codify the differing requirements for various departments and make it so much easier for individuals and new businesses to navigate the permitting and regulatory process. Infrastructure and roads are critical. We will always have the challenge of the access limitations of our narrow and winding mountain roads, roads that also contribute to the character of our community. With lots of public input, we have developed a plan for improved access to Chimney Rock Park, which includes access from our town center. Even though DOT funding for the improvements has not yet been committed, by getting out in front of this issue and having a plan in place, we are ready to go when funds are available. It's a very good plan, and our community's design, and it's of our community's design rather than the DOT. We must continue to do our part to preserve and protect the mountains that surround our town and to expand our ever-increasing trail system. Preserving the beauty of the gorge is as essential as good infrastructure and reasonable regulations to attracting desirable economic development.
Okay. Mr. Owensby.
Well, my ideas for stimulating economic growth would be to have a business-friendly environment, opportunity for diverse businesses to come to Lake Lure, to promote our festivals, events, and tournaments, not just during tourist season, but during the winter months too. Advertise Lake Lure effectively to bring tourist dollars to the town and to the businesses that we currently have. I do not necessarily feel that economic development means tax increases. It can simply mean additional tax revenue. We should patronize the businesses that's already in Lake Lure so that they can operate year-round without closing in the off-season due to the lack of our patronage. When people comes here to look to invest and they see that our regular businesses is not open or not thriving, they're going to go to a different town or a different place. And they see that our regular business should patronize not open or not thriving, they're going to go to a different town or a different place. And they see that our regular business should patronize not open or not thriving, they're going to go to a different town.
In order to attract,
And they see that our regular business should patronize not open or not thriving, they're going to go to a different town.
in order to attract,
And they see that our regular business should patronize not open or not thriving, they're going to go to a different town.
in order to attract
They see that our regular business should patronize
service to these businesses, we need to be able to have people park in our downtown area. You know, we need to be able to provide an environment that attracts and supports those businesses. I think we also need to be able to house a workforce. We need to have affordable workforce housing, either in our community or nearby. And right now, I don't believe we have that. I'd like to see us increase the full-time resident population here, people who will work and live in our community and not just visit. And I think that we need to aggressively go out and recruit businesses that fit the needs of our community. And I think we can identify what those are, and I think we should go out on a very selective basis and recruit businesses that provide the services and the goods that we need here locally.
Thank you very much. Okay. While the air is on, please do get as close to the microphone as possible for those in the back. Okay. Question number 2, sir.
Now we can go to question number 2. By running for public office, you are making a significant commitment of time and effort. What goals would you like to see accomplished during your tenure, and what would be your role in making them a reality? Mr. Kimball, you will lead off.
Okay.
Okay. Since making my decision to throw my hat into the ring,
There it goes. The air turned off. Okay. All right, John, we'll resume your time in just a second. I think they've turned it up all the way, but the air just turned off, so we'll see if we'll get an echo if we go too much louder. Okay. All right. Okay, and resuming time now.
I know how those singers start on when they get that up when they do it.
Like an ice cream cone.
I'll start over. Since making my decision to throw my hat in the ring and pursue the office of Commissioner for the town of Lake Lure, I've been asked by a lot of people if I've lost my mind. I'll get back with you on that later, I guess. I don't think there's another person in this town that spends as much time on this lake and in this lake as my wife and I do. I love this town and everything that it represents. This town and this county have supported me in my business and my personal life for over 26 years. And I feel an obligation to continue to do what I can to repay something as best I can. I've been associated with many of the past members of our town council, and I can assure you that it's not an easy responsibility. I don't claim to have all the answers or to know all the facts of the town business that I need to know. I will have a lot to learn, and I'm sure the needs will change, and therefore the goals will change as well. I can promise you that I will put forth my best effort, and my number one goal will be to do what is best for all the citizens and property owners of Lake Lure.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Mr. Moore, you'll be next.
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. I want to commend all of the candidates who are up here tonight for running for public office and being part of this process. It's not easy. And I can assure you that none of us do it for the $184 a month paycheck. In fact, we all give that and more back to the community. You're right, being on town council does take a significant commitment of time and effort, and we also take a little heat from time to time. Although each of us brings a different perspective and set of life experiences to the table, the one thing I hope we all have in common is a love for this town, a desire to preserve this unique experience for generations to come. This is a major commitment. I missed my son's cross-country meet tonight. He's here, and he better have won. And I'm sure that everyone in this building could be having a more pleasant evening somewhere else. But the thing is, we recognize the importance of volunteering and serving our community and doing everything we can to pass this special place on to the next generation, unspoiled and hopefully better than we found it. As for what I'd like to accomplish, we can continue the process of making our regulations more customer-friendly, and we've laid the groundwork to receive more parks and recreation grants. But I'm afraid over the next few years there will not be much discretionary money in our budget. Just this week, we received the first part of a two-phase report on our dam, which estimates that we will need to spend probably up to $5 million on repairs. Phase 2 of the report will be available in March. Repairs are also needed to our sewer system, and dredging is a constant challenge. Each of these challenges is unique. I expect continued success in receiving our share of grants. However, the dam and sewer repairs must be addressed regardless, and will have to be our major focus over the next few years.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Owenby, you'll be next.
Okay. My goals are to have a program to manage the dredging of our lake, to have necessary maintenance for our dam, and a reasonable and cost-effective solution to our sewer issues. Also preserving our valuable town property, such as our lake access properties, and not considering selling these assets, but keeping them for the highest and best use for the town. I'd also like to see keeping the ABC store in its current location. My role in making them a reality would be to keep the citizens informed, to hold public hearings so interested citizens can attend, express concerns, and bring new ideas to the table. My goal would be to work with council and mayor for resolutions that would bring a positive outcome for the town and its citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Ormsby. Ms. Lusk, you're next.
Well, not to beat a horse, but infrastructure is definitely going to be a huge challenge for us moving forward. As Commissioner Moore said, the information on the dam is definitely going to throw a monkey wrench into our finances. The dam and the sewer is definitely job one, and a goal that the entire board will share. Secondly, I think if we want to be a more livable community and we want to attract people, more year-rounders and more businesses, we need to continue what has already been begun by the Utilities Board to find ways to get more reliable internet and better cell signal. And I know that's started. I want to make sure that that is followed through on as aggressively as possible. And I also want to safeguard the history, the historic and quaint character of downtown Lake Lure and Marina Bay that distinguishes our exquisite community. As Mr. Owensby said, we shouldn't be selling any of our lakefront property in the Marina Bay.
Thank you, Ms. Lusk. Mr. Coley, would you like to address that?
I'll add a couple things. Just broadly speaking, my goal would be to put this community on a path, a solid path, for long-term sustainability and prosperity. I think you've heard about the infrastructure needs. It's time for the town to take a step back and take a look at what we need to do in order to ensure we have a bright future as a town. And that obviously involves economic development. We talked about workforce, housing, and all those things that will make this a sustainable town.
Sears building across from the Spartanburg Auditorium into county office space. Another provided medical services for the Spartanburg County Regional Hospital, and the other two provided student housing for USC Spartanburg and USC Aiken. Although very complex in nature, each of these arrangements successfully addressed the needs of each party and worked out very well for everyone, both public and private. The thing to remember is that each situation is unique and usually comes about as a solution to some unusual challenge. Two aspects of the arrangement are very important. First, the partnership should provide a solution to a challenge that is not readily solved by normal means. And second, the arrangement must be a win for all parties. I can envision circumstances within our town that would lend themselves well to public-private partnerships. In fact, our beach, marina, and golf course are right now very simple forms of public-private partnerships. I would welcome more public and private partnerships, and it's something that we can go out and a company that or a town that's willing to do that can draw other businesses in from different areas. It's a very good tool for municipalities.
And Mr. Owensby?
Well, I didn't write too much down on this one, but my view on the public and private partnerships for the municipal government of Lake Lure is foremost fiscal. My view on the public and private partnership for the municipal government of Lake Lure, each one should be evaluated. Foremost fiscal. My view on the public and private partnership for the municipal government of Lake Lure, each one should be evaluated. Foremost fiscal. My view on the public and private partnership for the golf course, we could do with other things here in the town and partner up where the citizens and the town is not responsible for everything, but yet we have a partnership that's helping us out and we all succeed. That would be my goal.
Ms. Lusk?
Thank you. Public-private partnerships are powerful, potentially powerful tools to encourage private investment and development. However, there is potential for public-private partnerships to cost municipalities a lot while providing limited benefits. They are very, the important thing there is to ensure that when you have your contract, you put some teeth in it. And so if it's a matter of selling the land for $1 to encourage investment of, let's say, a cell tower, you need to have some quantifiable deliverables that are measurable and in the contract, so that if, and their time frame, so that if those deliverables are not delivered, the town can seize its land back, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual arrangement. So it needs to be carefully done so that the town can seize its land, heightens the chance, or any other type of contractual
What are two of your top priorities? What are two of your top priorities? What are two of your top priorities?
My
What are two of your top priorities?
My part-time place to make a living, eliminate unnecessary frustration, trying to
Top priorities.
we did my part-time place, business, to make a living, eliminate our area. More tax revenue money into the town of our area. I think that's achievable if we raise tax revenue the right money into the town of our area. I think we can do achievable if we raise tax revenue the right money.
Top priority, which I would, we want to attract both year-round residents, business investors, top priorities, which I would, to address the internet, top priorities, which I would, in process, but to address just internet. So top priority, I feel that that's, which I would, in process, but to address just internet. Question for you is not time, because I feel that we remember when there wasn't even a so we got a grocery store and a doctor's office and a library. So we got a grocery, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. Library. If they work. So we got a grocery, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. Library. If they work. So we got a grocery, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. Library. If they work. So we got a grocery, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. Library. If they work. So we got a gross, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. So we got a gross, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. So we got a gross, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. So we got a gross, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. So we got a gross, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. So we got a gross, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. So we got a gross, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed. So we got a gross, how much more liberal in the doctor's office, but of course times have changed.
To support this industry needs to be a priority. We must get the ball rolling, be a priority. We must get the ball rolling, be a priority.
How we improve
We must get the ball rolling, be a
opportunities. Traffic issues and already I'll be very grateful for this lifestyle and the opportunity and never I'll be very grateful for this lifestyle and the opportunity that we never see as long as two things that I would like to see, sir, and opportunity folks that work at home those are two big issues that things in the works on. There's big issues and issues that come a long way on both of those, and I think that those are two things that go first and encourage type of economic development on both of those. I think that those are two things
Will. And I said I was with everything they said. But I would just add a couple of things too. When I, with everything, returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise. Returned coming to Lake Lure, it was just a gorgeous place. But I would just add a couple of things. Some of you in the audience too, to Lake Lure's paradise.
I might also ask that you ask it. We ask the candidates to keep track you, the audience, can direct the question. We ask the candidates to keep track you, the audience, can direct the question. We ask the candidates to keep track you, the audience, can direct the question. We ask the candidates to keep track you, the audience, can direct the question.
And we're also first, Patricia Manager, and we're also going to speak this following behind. First, Patricia Manager, and we're also going to let us know we can move on to next. First, Dan Brenneman, Patricia Manager, and we're also going to please let us know we can move on to if you will, please. No recording. Dan Brenneman, Patricia Manager, to speak on my phone. Please let us know we can move on to. If you will, please. No recording. Dan Brenneman, Patricia Manager, to speak on my phone. Please let us know we can move on to. If you will, please. No recording. Dan Brenneman, Patricia Manager, to speak on my phone. Please let us know we can move on to.
North Carolina. The answer to that, and I'm here tonight because I'd like to know what you folks serving council. The answer to that, and I'm aspect here tonight because I'd like to know community what you folks serving council.
All the candidates to answer.
The answer to that,
if we'd like, we'll start with Mr. Owens. We will go down. Next question, Mr. Moore. If we'd like, we'll start with Mr. Owens. We will go down. Next question. Mr. Mayor. If you'd like, we'll
Important aspects
start with
that we need to be working on.
Mr. Owens. Next question.
And all
Mr. Mayor. If you'd like, we'll
important
we'll start
aspects
with
that we need to be working on.
Mr. Owens. Next question. Mr. Mayor. If you'd like, we'll
Important
we'll start
aspects
with
that we need to be working on.
Mr. Owens. Next question. Mr. Mayor. If you'd like, we'll start with
I guess I would have to comment, maybe even.
next question. Mr. Mayor. If you'd like, we'll start with
I guess I would have to comment, maybe even.
next question. Mr. Mayor. If you'd like, we'll start with
I guess I would have to comment, maybe even.
next question. Mr. Mayor. If you'd like, we'll start with
I guess I would have to comment, maybe even.
next question.
I guess I would have to we need to have, they need to have one forward.
And I'm going to answer your question based on your saying you moved here from Lord. So I assume you're right here in Columbus, South Dakota, based on your saying you moved here from Lord. So I assume you're right here in Columbus, South Dakota, based on your saying you moved here from Lord. So I assume you're right here in Columbus, South Dakota, based on your saying you moved here from Lord. Yeah, so I assume you're right hard thing. Columbus, South Dakota, safeguarding them. Saying you moved here from Lord. Yeah.
All the upcoming needs of the good time. I would encourage all of you, all the upcoming needs on the town website. I would encourage all the upcoming needs on the town website. All the upcoming needs on the town website. And all the here that we started upcoming things on the town website. The reality, 2 hours to sit down and go through that 196-page. The reality, coming 2 hours to sit down and go through that 196-page. Said $5,000 coming not process to sit down and go through that 196-page. Said the council meeting, $3,000 that was coming down. We've got a very grand old lady, but we have been over the years. And he's the bridge that's very grand, that's the old lady, but we have right on, hit the nail right on the head. And he's the bridge where we got a very grand, and we got old lady, but we have sewer right on. We could have a catastrophic event. This last time where go track with our sewer. So we've got some big items. Last time where go track with our sewer. So we've got some big items. Last time where go track with our sewer. So we've got some big items. Last time where go track with our sewer. So we've got some big items. Last time where go track with our sewer. So we've got some big items. Last time where go track with our sewer. So we've got some big items. Last time where go track with our sewer. We've got some big items. East Highway over there, we can track that. We've got some big items. East Highway over there, we can track that. We've got some big items. East Highway over there, we can track that. We've got some big items. East Highway over there, we can track that. We've got big items. East Highway over there, we can track that. We've got big items. East Highway over there, we can track that. We've got big items. East Highway over there, we can track that. We've got big items. East Highway over there, we can track that. Big items. East Highway over there, we can track that.
There's still improvements that can be made. To get there's still improvements that can be made. And the top still processes that you're doing, and the trees, the top trees, still process. Ideas that you're doing, ordinance was we didn't have to come in and trees respect the process. Ideas that you're not clear ordinance was off the clock. We need to come in out of trees there's a lot there. You know, we don't need to come in trees. There's a lot there. You know, we don't need to have another come in and take care of trees. There's a lot there. You know, we don't need to.
Commission will come down to Rockville and Lake Moore have together very proactive for some time now. To build on what he was saying, Commission will community quite a Lake Moore have a trail system, and I think that we could do more quite a Lake Moore have a trail system. And I think that we bouldering and climbing, quite a trails up to Eagle Rock, the trail system to, and I think that we bouldering and climbing, using our trails up to Eagle Rock, park and vice versa. Using our trails up to Eagle Rock,
I think it's tremendous, the cooperation and all that, I think it's tremendous, the cooperation and all that, I think it's tremendous, the cooperation and all that, I think it's tremendous, the cooperation and all that,
It represents town of Lake Lure, being the two primary communities. Being the I'm used to seeing present being I'm used to seeing looking being I'm used to seeing looking I believe our communication the village leaders are as close they've ever been. The village leaders are as close I think they've ever been. The village leaders are as close I think they've the village leaders are good are as close I think the village leaders are good are as close for both and Quickberg.
We still have a situation where highly we want to make Lake Lure session self-included. We need to have a conference center session self-included. We need to have one conference center session self-included.
If it could be, if there could be a sustainable way to have a good business plan, road, you could have year-round. If there could be a sustainable way to have a good business plan, cautious, you could have year-round. If there could be a sustainable way to good business plan, cautious, you could have it year-round. Any of those. If there could be a sustainable way to good business plan, cautious, you could have it year-round. Any of those. If there could be a sustainable way to good business plan, cautious, you could have it year-round. Any of those. If there could be a sustainable way to good business plan, cautious, you could have it year-round. If there could be a sustainable way to good business plan, cautious, you could have it year-round. If there could be a sustainable way to good business plan, cautious, you could have it year-round. If there could be a sustainable good business plan, cautious, you could have it
And I love music, and so and I love music, and so it's a good and I love music, and people involved. And I love music, and people involved. And I love music, and people
here in that. People to partner in with. I need those right now. See you tomorrow. People to partner in with. As of today, we can't. See you tomorrow. People to partner in with. As of today, we can't.
I'll have to agree with you. We talked about how wonderful the Golden Center would be for 9 years. I'll have to agree with Andy. We have some here that here. I'd like to see it. It would have to be a public. I'd like to see it now kind of be a public, private sector would private, possibility of breaks. I'd like to see it now kind of be a public, private sector, but something that would certainly revitalize the community if it was done right. And it will certainly echo revitalize Kelly was talking about with the, if it was done right, parks and the new plan will certainly echo revitalize. It has Kelly at the community, something that was just, the plan was just, if it was finalized, parks of the week. The new board, and it'll be, I guess it'll be coming to parts of the week in November. The new board, and it'll be, I guess it'll be coming to parts of the week in November. The new board, and it'll be, I guess it'll be coming to parts of the week in November. The new board, and it'll be, I guess it'll be coming to parts of the week in November. The new board, and it'll be, I guess it'll be coming to parts of the week in November. The new board, and it'll be, I guess it'll be coming to
I'm not sure that I have all the facts that I need.
Ordering the dock situation, and kind of like your participation.
Okay, isn't there already? To do that, isn't there already at the town Mr. Moore to do that? Isn't there already that is our at the town Mr. Moore to do that? Isn't there already That is our.
That is, I don't really know.
Do that. Isn't there that is our.
That is, I really have to give that part. I don't really know.
Do that. Isn't there.
Goes in the process to have. I don't
Do that. Isn't there.
goes in the process.
A number of years ago, I think it was about 30 years ago, down the old covered. A number of years ago, dock, I think it was about 30 years ago, and put some floating docks in. Hard on down the old number of years in dock, I think it was about 30 years ago, and put some floating docks in, paid for the loan. And it was it's a short loan, I think you just have on paid and it pays off. All of that money comes, and it's a short loan, I think you just on paid and it pays off. All of that money comes, and we're at it's a short loan, I think on paid and it pays off. All of that money comes, and we're at it's a short loan, I think on paid and it pays off.
The number I recall is 40 additional.
It's a short loan.
The number I recall is 40. Let me hear the short section of the number I recall is 40. Let me hear the short section of the number I recall is 40. Let me hear the short section of the number I recall is 40. Let me hear the short section of the number I recall is 40. Let me hear the short section of the number I recall is 40. Let me hear the short section of the number I recall is 40. Let me hear the short section of the number I recall is 40. We've been told as council until we've been told as council okay until we've been told as council okay. When you do go they're all told it works. Council okay. That when you do go special back is on McGraw okay, and the when you do go and he special back it's kind of is on McGraw okay, and the contract you do go and he special back before I've been involved with town council, but we do the we didn't know that the dam had the issues that it did every week. We didn't know that the dam had the issues that it did every week. Oh, come on back. We didn't know that the dam had the issues that it did.
Thank you to our community members who this evening to pass questions to the board. Those were all the questions for this evening. This evening at 30. Those were all the questions. Just a moment. This evening. I'll come down and I'll so we can all seek. Those were all the questions. Just a moment. This evening. I'll come down and I'll all sequence. Those were all in just a moment.
I sure wish I was worn my red sport coat tonight, that's all I can say. I sure wish I had a shirt, that would have been good. I sure wish I was worn my red sport coat tonight, that's all I can say. I sure wish I had a shirt, that would have been good. Yeah. Wish I had a shirt, that would have been good. Yeah. Wish I had a shirt, that would have been good.
Not a show. Closing remarks on this. Not a show. Hearing the structural questions. Closing remarks on this. Not a show. Hearing the structural questions. Closing remarks on this. Not a show. Each of you. Hearing the structural questions. Closing remarks on this. Not a show. Each of you. Hearing the structural questions. Closing remarks on this. Not a show.
Business background. I don't bring finance. I'm not bringing evaluating rules. I don't bring a business background. When I need I don't bring finance. I'm not bringing evaluating rules. I don't bring a business background. When I need I don't bring finance. I'm not bringing evaluating rules. I don't bring a business background. When I need I'm not bringing I need to get business background. Like I need business potential. Encourage me strongly. Business potential. People to respect me strongly. Fair business potential. Learn to respect me strongly. Fair business. Use resources. Strongly. I almost didn't run. I use resources. We've been joking about. I almost didn't last. I use resources. We've been joking about. Education. The abilities to be I almost didn't last. And in the end, I knew we've been joking that it was my responsibility to education. I hope that you will be the opportunity to serve. And in the end, I knew we've been joking that it was my responsibility to education.
In our opening comments, I didn't really very much because probably all knew it. In our opening comments, I didn't really much time a little bit in our opening comments I didn't really from here time career we all a little bit Carolina in our opening comments out there and I didn't really closer she was only 45 minutes away in our opening comments out there and I didn't really he is closer she was only 45 minutes away in our still here. I didn't really he is closer. She was only 45. So he's got here 1974. Still here. Background. I didn't. And he is asset management. Closer. She's only 45. I have. So he's got here. It's been tough at times, but I've really enjoyed the last. Closer. She's only 45. I have. So he's an awful lot. It's been tough at times, but I've really enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45. I have she's an awful lot. And a certain amount's gone over the dam. Enjoyed the water's going to the dam. She's on 45.
And a native. And a native. Sewer and a vital can no longer be the sewer or neglect. And a be vital can no longer be the sewer or neglect. And a be vital can no longer be the sewer or neglect. No longer sewer and neglect. No longer sewer and neglect.
You've heard me say before that like reason. You've heard me say before that you vote for me, and I'm reason. You've heard me say before that all town matters. You vote may not always, and I'm we based on fact. You've heard me logic. Educate before you know my theory. You vote may not make a decision, and I'm evidence and logic. Too many decisions have been made. You vote may not make a decision, and I think we're not confident and logic were made. Too many decisions have been necessary. I hope you vote may not disagree, and the best decision for confidence and logic. This will always be my final decisions have been necessary. I hope you vote. I promise you not to disagree, and never the best decision once you done confidence and logic by conservative values and strive every day to live by the best decision. Once you know but I do conservative values. I have no ulterior strive every day to live by the best decision. Feel that you know my business world by conservative values. I have no ulterior strive every day. I also think that I achieve by the feel that you involved with activities. This world by conservative values. This county and this community business this world by conservative values. This county and this community business this world by conservative values. This county and this community business this world by conservative values. This county and this community business this world by conservative values. This county and this community business this world by conservative values. This county and this community business this world by conservative values. This county and this community
policies that others when we have I was this community that policy situation. So should go having this all time. This mayor would be very much now that policy situation whenever it is we install the new very so now that policy day one whenever it is I can we inform well the new very issue so now that policy day one whenever it be a good I can we inform well and the new very issue so now that policy day one whenever it be a good I can we inform well the new very issue.
Thank you very much to all the candidates this evening. One more round of applause, please, for them this evening. One round of applause, please, for them this evening. And Bob, while we're gathered in this room with all your associates, friends, and neighbors, thank you for your many years of service. And Bob, while we're gathered in this room with all your leadership, associates, friends, and neighbors, on your side for so many years through all of this. Thank you very much for all the job gathered in this room with all your leadership. Side for so many years through all of this. Thank you. Final note on the election ballot with the process of being placed on the ballot. You will see one name on the ballot listing with the John Crawford. He did withdraw, but his name will still appear on the ballot. Please issue on the listing through John. You will see 3 Johns, but only 2, but his name will still running on the ballot. John Crawford, who will see on the list, will not be taking a seat if he does see running on the ballot. John Crawford, thank you very much all for coming. The next event will be if he does see running on the ballot. John Crawford, thank you very much all for coming. The next event will be if he does see running on the ballot. John Crawford, thank you very much all for coming. The next event will be if he does see running on the ballot. John Crawford, thank you very much all for coming. The next event will be if he does